I have sad news for you. Right now you're living in an invisible cage, perhaps a cage you've woven around yourself. You're touching invisible bars, submitting to a master you've never met. You believe you're making your own choices in life. You believe that if you work hard, truly love and tell the truth, the world will reward you and everything will be beautiful. But look around. Who really wins? The person who uses everything freely? The transparent, routine-having, relentlessly kind person? Or the person who stays back? The person who calculates? The person bound to a completely different code? 30 years ago, a man named Hervey Cleckley wrote a truth so cold and so ruthless and so undeniable that history tried to ban his work. He didn't write how the world should be. He wrote how it is. He understood that human nature is driven not by morality, but by power, fear, desire, and self-interest. If you ignore these forces, you become their victim. If you understand them, you become their architect. Most people progress through life as supporting actors. They react, they defend, they wait for action. They're controlled by invisible psychological truths that determine who gets respect, who is loved, and who gets left behind. Today we're going to shatter this illusion. We're going to examine the 7 Cleckleyest laws that are secretly controlling your life right now. These aren't tips. They're the dark mechanism of human hierarchy. At the end of this video, you'll have a choice. Continue being a pawn moved by invisible hands, or break the strings and finally see the board. But a warning. Once you've seen these laws, you can't unsee them. Innocence once lost never returns to its place. First law, the economy of presence. The first law is the foundation of all value, and the law you violate every day. Respect is not the product of generosity, it's the product of scarcity. You've been conditioned to believe you need to be available to be valued. You must be reachable. You must answer messages instantly. You must take that shift. You must listen to events and present your energy the moment it's demanded. You think this makes you reliable and understanding. You think this makes you a good person. It doesn't. It makes you ordinary and cheap. Basic economics governs the human soul just as it governs the market. Water is necessary for survival, yet it's easily found because it flows from every tap. Diamonds are useless, but worship because they're hidden, rare, and difficult to obtain. When you're always available, you become water. You may be a necessity, but you're not respected. You're consumed. You're taken lightly. And when the tap runs dry, people don't feel grateful for having you. They feel angry that you've run out. Cleckley understood that the prince too often seen becomes ordinary. The leader who is always accessible loses their aura. Observe the adventure in your own life. Who lives rent-free in your head? The person who sends you paragraphs full of reassurance messages instantly? Or the person who takes hours, makes you feel like their approval is earned, makes you feel like their attention is a weather vane that could turn elsewhere at any moment? The human brain is programmed to chase what escapes. This is psychology's string theory. If you drop the string, the cat loses interest. If you pull the string back, the cat pounces on it. To master this law, you must learn the discipline of strategic detachment. This isn't playing games. It's understanding the weight of your own existence. You must stop distributing yourself like advertising brochures on street corners. You must start rationing your presence like steel. This means not explaining everything, not attending every invitation, not answering every call. You create a void. When you withdraw, you create a vortex. And nature abhors a vacuum. People rush to fill this void using their attention, their curiosity, and their desires. When you're silent, they wonder what you're thinking. When you're absent, they wonder where you are. In this curiosity, they create a thesis about you. And this fantasy is infinitely more powerful than the reality of sitting on a couch, easily accessible, waiting to be used. Start today. Pull back 15% of your availability. Watch how you hold the chaos. Watch how your text messages change from routine to urgent. You're not being cruel. You're teaching by showing the possibility of losing what you offer. Second law, never be the hero, be the necessity. The second law explains why you get abandoned. Most people try to be loved. They try to be the hero who saves the day. They give of themselves, they fix, they heal. And then when the person thinks they've saved themselves, when the job is done, the hero is forgotten. Why? Because the hero is no longer needed. Cleckley wrote thus, "A wise prince will seek a way that his subjects will always and in every possible time condition need his government." Translation: don't build relationships based on love, build relationships based on need. This sounds lonely, it is, but look at the reality of the corporate world, the romantic world, the social world. The employee who is loved but whose absence can be tolerated is the first to be fired when there are budget problems. The partner who is sweet but offers no trust, backbone and future, is the first to be cheated on. Security is not found in being loved. It's found in being indispensable. If you want to be untouchable, you must position yourself so that your removal causes pain. You must be the architect of the other person's effort. Don't just do your job on their journey. Guard a specific skill that only you possess. Own the relationship with key people. Keep the system's password. When you leave, ensure that building can't stand without you. In relationships, this is more key. It's not financial dependency. It's emotional and psychological necessity. Be the only person who truly understands their darkest ambitions. Be the only person who can silence their specific anxieties. Be a source of clarity they can't find in the world's chaos. When you become the source of stability they can't afford to lose, love is variable. It changes with the wind. It changes with mood. But need is primal. Need is permanent. A person leaves someone they love for someone they need. But they rarely leave someone they need for someone they merely love. Stop trying to convince people you're a good person. Good people are dispensable people. Prove to them with your actions, your competence, and your unique understanding that you are the oxygen in the room. Once you establish dependency, you no longer have to beg for respect. They give to pay you back. Be not the one who pays debts, but the one who creates debts. Accessories are replaceable, but the importance of your existence always protects itself. Third law, the fog of war. The third law is where most honest people destroy themselves. You were taught that honesty is the best policy. You were taught to communicate, to share your goals, to announce your plans to the world. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to lose 10 kilos. I'm going to make peace with them. And what happens? The business fails. The weight stalls. The relationship ends. Why? Because you gave away your secret. A revealed goal is a weapon you give to your enemy. When you announce your plans, you do 3 things that weaken you. First, you trigger the early dopamine reward. Psychology shows that when you announce a goal and people say, "Wow, well done," your brain releases dopamine as if you've already achieved it. You lose your hunger. You lose your drive. You become satisfied with talk, so you never take action. Second, you invite internal interference. The moment you express your ambition, you hold up a mirror to the ordinariness of those around you. They don't applaud you. Consciously or unconsciously, they try to tear you down. They plant seeds of doubt. Are you sure this is a good time? It sounds bad. They push you back from your goal. Third, and most Cleckleyan, you become predictable, and predictability is your end. If people know what you want, they know how to manipulate you. If they know you're desperate for promotion, they can make you work for free by sweating. If they know you fear abandonment, they can treat you badly, knowing you won't leave. You must be a closed book. Cleckley advised that a ruler should never let his court know whose side he's on until the winner is appointed. He should never let his enemy know where he'll strike until the sword falls. Adopt the fog of war in your daily life. When you're angry, wear a mask of calm. When you're hopeless, wear a mask of hope. When you're about to make a big move, smile and talk about how the weather is today. Let your actions be the only announcement you make. There is terrible power in the person who doesn't speak. When you're in a meeting and don't reveal your position, people project their own fears onto you. They try to impress you. They try to guess what you're thinking. You become a screen onto which they project their own psychologies while you reveal nothing. They reveal everything about themselves. Use their goals to break them. If you want to seize power, pretend you're only interested in working hard. If you want to seduce, pretend you're only interested in friendship. By the time they understand your real intention, it should be too late to stop you. Don't be a dog that can only bark to scare away the uninvited guest. Be a viper, silent, motionless, and when the distance closes, attacking its prey. Fourth law, the law of emotional deviation. This law controls every relationship you've ever been in, from your parents to emotional relationships to even romantic ones to your boss. The cruel truth of human relationships. The person who cares least controls the relationship. This is the principle of least interest. Think of a negotiation. One person is desperate to sell their car because they need money. The other person likes the car but is quite happy to walk away. Who sets the price? The person who can walk away always in life. You're probably suffering because you're the one with the bad hand. You're the one investing more emotion, more worry, and more time in the relationship. You're constantly checking the status of the relationship. Are we okay? Did I do something wrong? Why are they being cold? These questions are actually a scent. They smell like weakness and they push people away subconsciously. When you overinvest in yourself, you upset the power balance. You put the other person on a scale, and from that height, they can only look down at you. You give them the power to destroy you, and then you wonder why they treat you cruelly. Because you sold yourself cheap. You signaled that you'll be there no matter what. To regain control, you must master emotional deviation. This doesn't mean stopping loving. It doesn't mean being a sociopath. It means developing the ability to sever ties. You must find a voice inside that is attached to no one. When they withdraw, you don't chase. You remain unreactive. When they get angry and upset, you stay cold and observant. Imagine a scale. When they step from their side, you don't jump to their side to hold them. You stay on your side. You allow the scale to become unbalanced. You allow them to face the consequence of their distance. When you stop chasing, you shift the balance. Suddenly they're the ones facing their own void. Suddenly they're the ones wondering why you're pulling away. Anxiety shifts sides from you to them. And here's the dark paradox. People are drawn to those who don't need them. We want the attention of the one whose attention is hard to capture. We want the interest of the person who loves themselves more than they love us. If you make someone the center of your universe, eventually they'll leave you to find a new universe. But if you become your own universe, complete, spinning, self-sufficient, they orbit in your trajectory. To preserve the relationship, you must be willing to lose it. To close the deal, you must be willing to give up the deal. The moment you're truly ready to detach, you become dangerous. You become powerful. You become the one who sets the terms. Look at your life right now. What are you clinging most tightly to? Where are you trying to force an outcome? Let go. Lean back. Watch. Wait. The law of deviation states that the moment you withdraw your energy, the world rushes to fill the void. Fifth law, the surgeon's knife. Now we move to the law that separates leaders from cowards. This is the law of conflict management, in other words, the art of war, and it's the greatest enemy of your niceness. Cleckley famously wrote that injuries should all be done at once, so that being less familiar, they are less chewed. Kindness should be given slowly so that its flavor lasts longer. Most people do the opposite. When you have to give bad news, end a relationship, fire an employee, or cut ties with a toxic family member, what do? You hesitate, don't you? You do this too. You soften the blow, you drag it out, you leave them, but agree to stay in touch so as not to hurt their feelings. You fire the employee, but give them a month of false hope. Instead of telling the toxic friend they're poisoning your life, you just say you're busy. You think you're being naive, you're not. You're being cruel. By prolonging the conflict, you're crushing the snake's head, step by step. You're keeping the wound open, letting it get infected, making the pain last years instead of days. The Cleckleyan mindset requires you to think like a surgeon. If a limb is gangrenous, you don't bother trying to treat it. You cut it off and remove it from the body instantly with a single clean, sharp scalpel strike. Perhaps you amputate, but you solve the problem, and sometimes this is utterly blood-chilling. It's painful, but absolute. And because it's definitive, healing can happen immediately in life. Identify the failing employee, an expired but still walking relationship, a comfort zone that's killing your ambition, a friend who repeatedly disrespects. Don't negotiate with a pest, don't labor over it. Strike once, but strike hard and never retreat. If you leave the door open out of guilt, the cold air will eventually make you sick. If you're going to offer benefit, give your time, attention, love slowly, make people wait. But if you must give pain or wrath, do it so heavily that there's no confusion. People respect a regular executioner. They despise the clumsy one. The person who breaks from you cleanly and cuts communication is offering you the dignity of withdrawal. The person who ghosts then comes back, who's hot and cold, who says, maybe someday, is keeping you in dungeons of hope. Don't be a gatekeeper, be an executioner. This is the only form of mercy that matters in the power struggle. Sixth law, attract attention at all costs. You were raised with a humble lie. Don't judge a book by its cover. The truth is, the cover is what most people see first. We live in a visual culture. We're creatures of the earth. We judge ideality with confidence. We judge wealth with costumes. We judge authority with posture. If you're hiding your light under a microscope scale because you believe virtue is its own reward, you drown in darkness. It doesn't reward good guys. That only happens in fairy tales, doesn't it? It rewards the most visible man. Cleckley knew a prince must be a showman. He must display his reputation for all to see. He must understand that power is a performance art. The sixth law is simple. You must control the visual illusion of your life. This doesn't mean faking it. It means curating. It means understanding that your appearance, your tone of voice, and the environment in which you're seen are not superficial details. They're the invisible part of the subconscious mind in the mirror. Look at the good guy or good girl. They work hard. They keep their heads down. They wait to be noticed. And they're ignored by the person who does half the work but knows how to present it with flair. Why? Because what doesn't make noise gets lost in the background, and what's invisible expresses no value. You must learn to appear spectacular. This doesn't mean wearing neon. It means standing out as different from the dry crowd around you. If everyone's shouting, the spectacle is silence. If everyone's dressed casually, the spectacle is a suit. If everyone's panicking, the spectacle is absolute magnificent calm. You must be conscious of your prestige. Every time you exit a door, you're entering a stage. How you walk matters. If you walk with your head down without making eye contact, you're practicing submission. You're telling predators you're easy prey. Lift your head. Slow your movements. Powerful people don't rush. They move as if time belongs to them. When you speak, don't use words that crowd. Don't apologize for your existence. I'm sorry, can I just ask? No, I have a question. The difference is subtle, but it's the difference between asking permission and taking up space. Create a mysterious image. Don't be the person who shares their breakfast, their cat, and their crisis on social media every day. This isn't transparency, it's ordinariness. Curate your image so people only see what you want them to see. Competence, power, success. This feels fake to you. Good. It means you're still clinging to the idea that your inner self is sufficient. It's not. Your inner self is for you. Your outer self is a costume for the world. Sharpen it, polish it, hone it, and use it. If you don't complete your image yourself, your enemies will complete it for you, and they won't be kind. Seventh law, master the art of timing. The final law is the one that binds them all together. It's the mastery of time. Amateurs always rush. They're frantic. They're reacting to messages, reacting to insults, reacting to the clock. They're always busy but never seem to arrive. Haste creates lack of pride. Haste betrays lack of control. Cleckley often speaks of fortuna chance and veru skill. He describes fate as a violent and unpredictable river. You can't control the river, but you can control when you launch the ship into the sea. The law of timing states that patience is not a virtue, but a weapon. Most of your life's mistakes came from impatience. You sent that message too early when you were angry. You took the first job offer because you were scared. You slept together too early because you wanted acceptance. You quit the project just before takeoff. You're fighting against time, so you lose. Being Cleckley is stepping outside the mad ticking of the clock. You must learn to remain calm in tension. When someone insults you, the instinct is to immediately withdraw. The master of time waits, looks at the person, lets the silence stretch until it becomes frightening, smiles, and then maybe speaks, maybe doesn't. By waiting, you signal that you're not a slave to the other person's games. In war, the one willing to wait the longest wins. If you need the deal now, you pay the price. If you can wait a month, you make them pay the price. This requires a cold suppression of your anxiety. You must teach yourself to hold your breath underwater. Look at the lion. It doesn't chase every gazelle it sees wandering in the desert. It lies on the sand, watches, waits, stores energy, waits for that moment when the prey is vulnerable and the wind blows in its favor. And then the fifth law, it strikes with all its power at once. Stop trying to force the return. You can't pull plants up from the soil to make them grow faster. You only destroy them. Analyze the cycles of your life. There are times when you must be aggressive and times when you must retreat and reload your weapon. If you attack when you should retreat, you're destroyed. If you retreat when you should attack, you lose what you have. How do you know the difference? By separating, by stopping the emotional chaos, by looking not as an infantry executing orders, but as a commander directing the infantry. Control time to control the outcome. Now you've seen the 7 laws. Scarcity, value is also created by waiting. Dependency. Security comes not from being loved, but from being needed. Secrecy, never tell them what you're doing until it's done. Tolerance, whoever cares, less wins. Ruthlessness, cut clean, cut well, and never look back. Show, perception is reality. Control the show, timing. Patience is your greatest weapon. These laws aren't beautiful. They're not like what they taught you in kindergarten. They contradict everything society tells you about being a good citizen. But ask yourself, who taught you these rules? Did they want you to be powerful, or did they want you to be submissive? Society needs slaves. It needs worker bees who sacrifice themselves for the hive. It needs slaves who are predictable, honest, patient, and blindly loyal. It pushes you to be sheep because sheep are easy to hunt and eat. But you feel something different, don't you? That's why you're still listening. You feel the sheep role doesn't fit you, or you're tired of being prey. Applying these laws is separating from the herd. It's accepting to be cold fare. You might be called calculating. You might be called Cleckleyan. Wear these titles like armor because the alternative is to remain a victim of those who understand these laws. The world is divided into kings and pawns. There's no third option. You can't stay out. Gravity pulls you down whether you believe in it or not. Power controls your life whether you accept it or not. The only choice you have is whether you want to be the axe or the hammer. When you start applying these laws, your reality will change. People will respect you more but understand you less. You'll have more power but feel more alone. You'll see the hands in everyone else and realize how foolishly they dance. It's a lonely road, but it's the only road to power. You're no longer a child waiting for the world to be fair. You're a king building a castle in a fundamentally unjust world. Build a durable castle. Build silently, and let them crash into your walls. But understand this, knowing the laws isn't enough. Purposeless knowledge is just mental masturbation. You can nod your head at this video, feel a wave of power, and then go back to texting too fast, talking too much about your plans, and begging for love. If you do that, you're worse than a fool. You're a coward. The real test isn't an understanding. It's an application. It's in that half second when your phone rings and you want to answer but don't. It's in that moment when you want to yell at your ex but stay silent. It's in that moment when you want to brag about your new project, but keep your mouth shut. The war is won there. In silence, in loneliness, in darkness. Most people will watch this and change nothing. They'll return to the comfort of their cages because the cage is safe and more comfortable for them, even for you, isn't it? The cage is warm. Are you an ordinary person? Or are you ready to see how deep the rabbit hole really is? Because what I've shared with you today is just an introduction. This is the public level. These are the laws allowed to be spoken in daylight. But there are darker truths. There's psychological impact, shadow work, and real manipulation techniques that can't be shared on this platform. If this opened your eyes, understand that this is only what I can show publicly. There are videos I can't upload for everyone. There are aspects of dark psychology I can't discuss openly on YouTube without being censored or demonetized. The algorithm keeps the most powerful information hidden because it needs it for itself, doesn't it? These are behind the subscribe button. If you're still here, you're not like the others. If you haven't subscribed, do. But if you want what's hidden, check out the other videos too and enter the Hunter level. You'll unlock special, uncensored videos that delve into the deepest parts of the human soul. Most won't achieve this. That's the point anyway.